Welcome back to Beards and Brews. Hey, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that little bell. Not only does it help us out, but you'll know exactly when we have another one brewing. This week's movie is going to be The Raid, or for you American chumps, The Raid Redemption, for whatever reason. Fellas, what'd you think?
Cardio the movie is a good time.
Man, this movie does not rest. Not once. Oh, maybe a little bit, but the movie's just like, enough of that.
Yeah, I had a pretty good time watching Indonesian Dread.
Attack on Peach Trees.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, in those three very similar movies, this is definitely like a solid number 2. That's not a poop joke.
The action in this film is top fucking notch. Now, they're talking and they're describing things. I'm like, meh, I don't really care. Do some more of that badass shit where you're kicking this dude's knee sideways so he drops down so he can kick the other knee the other way so you can punch him in the face so you can jump knee him in the head and then backflip onto another guy. Fucking crazy.
It's ridiculous. Like, absolutely absurd. Like I mentioned just a little before, like this just relentless and goodness. Like you said, the action is choreographed so well and shot superiorly to anything that's fallen out of Hollywood in the last like 10 years. It's almost embarrassing.
Yeah, honestly, what this reminds me of is like a Kung Fu and One mixtape, except with a little bit of plot mixed in. Not much, but a little bit.
It's got such a pinch of plot, and I like how the movie just goes out of its way to just be like, here's the situation. All right, let's just kick each other's asses for the next hour and 15 minutes.
What this reminded me of 100% was the next step, the evolution of Jackie Chan films. It's fun, insane action, but at the same time, it looks absolutely brutal. There's a fight to the death in here, and whenever they're fighting to the death, you honestly feel like these two dudes are fighting to the death. It's not just a cool fight where one guy loses. No, it's a fucking brawl.
Yeah, honestly, I'm glad that you mentioned Jackie Chan because going into this, I don't know, I'd never seen this before, but I kind of thought that this was at least a little bit comedy going in, or not comedy necessarily, but I thought that it was a little bit more like lighthearted, like a Jackie Chan film, like Rumble in the Bronx or something like that, and it is not that at all.
No, the laughs that the movie got out of me wasn't because it was lighthearted. I can tell you that right now.
Now, Eric, you and I watched the dubbed version, is that right? And then Brady, you watched the subbed version?
That is correct, yes.
The dubbed version was bad. Like
it was
the dubs, just don't worry about them. They're bad. You don't need to know what's going on, really, to be honest.
No, and like I mentioned, like they breeze through what little plot you need. I mean, there's just a bunch of cops. They're going into a building, a la Raid, and they're just there to smoke the place. That's it. There's a little bit of twist in there. That's fine, but the movie's action speaks for itself because I agree. The dubbed version of this is fucking awful, and I was just secondhand embarrassed every time somebody opened their stupid mouth and it wasn't their voice. It was just like this weird dissonance between the languages. You can definitely tell like they were just trying to like shove as much English in there and just didn't fit, and the acting is so phoned in. I thought it was an AT&T commercial. It was just...
Damn. What got me... Now, I watched the subtitle version. You don't have time to read it because there's so much shit going on the screen that you want to pay attention to the action. But the soundtrack, I fucking hated it. God damn.
Really?
Like, it was like,
really?
Yes. I felt like it was Hackers, like the movie Hackers, but with Kung Fu. It kept taking me out of it.
No, I was all about the score to this. Like so many times I just wrote down like hype music or like more hype music. That's all I could call it. Like, because that's just what it is. It's like this sort of like just this vaguely industrial rock, upbeat hype music that you know, it gets you going,
Brady, I think I know the problem is because this movie, if you're not ready for it, it's exhausting, and that music is always in the background, just absolutely just chugging along with people getting their fucking faces kicked in.
And it's not that it elevates. It's not that it elevates whenever there's something going on, when there's a big fight scene or something. It elevates right before that. And that's maybe what I liked about the score, because like it got you hyped up. That's what I'm talking about. It wasn't just like going on in the background of a big fight scene. It was like getting you prepared.
Yeah. I mean, I was elevated when I watched it.
Now I gotta keep them both in.
Okay, so this movie starts out with a bad guy who looks like Dr. Gonzo from Fear and Loathing, just
Yeah.
executing people. And they're okay. I know it's a movie, fellas. Round table discussion. We're lined up, 3 in a row.
Mhm.
Eric, you're on the very end.
All
Bow!
right.
They just shot Chandler.
Oh shit.
I look over at you. Oh no! Bow! He just blows my head off. Would you just sit there and wait your turn?
I mean, given the situation, like, you know, I'm surrounded by people who are clearly armed, and I'm outnumbered 5 or 6 to 1. So, like, I don't know what I would do. I could struggle. You know what? I would struggle, because what happened to this fella is fucked up. So, like, Indonesian Gonzo man, he's a bad guy. How bad is he? Oh, when he runs out of bullets, he's like, wait here, champ. Puts the gun on the guy's shoulder, just fucking freaking the guy out. He's like, oh, what is he gonna do? He pulls out a drawer of his desk where there are plenty of bullets for his revolver. No, but that's also his hammer drawer. And he yanks that thing out and just beats the fuck out of that guy.
Yeah, for that guy, it was hammer time.
That's also one thing that's like kind of a thing in the movie, is that like furniture is a place to hide all of your weaponry.
I mean, why not? Where else are you gonna put it? Like, there's not a whole lot of options in these apartments, guys. Like this is a big apartment building, very a la Peachtree in Dread, except it's in Indonesia, and there's just not a whole lot of furniture or anything in these things. This is just like a slum block.
Hey, what do you want this flower fixture? Oh, right next to the machete table. It just goes perfectly.
Put that
The
next to
machete
the
table.
goddamn refrigerator bomb.
Oh man, I had some Crystal Skull stuff just like creeping through my mind at that moment. Like, that's probably there's 2 very absurd moments in this movie, and that's definitely one of them.
All right, but I give them credit for the refrigerator bomb, because not only does it kill the people out in the hallway, it fucks up the people in the room. It was a double-edged sword.
Yeah,
Desperation.
they get toasted pretty quickly.
So yeah, we've got this big urban apartment block, and the idea is bad guys are inside. They're running this stuff. Like, there's some people that are legitimately living in there, but for the most part, this is just a hideout for the Indonesian mob or something. Also, we find out that there may or may not be like a drug lab somewhere in there. That'll come back.
What I love about the intro of the police officers, or the raiders, whatever you want to call them, it's the fact that they never have that moment where just like, man, I hate that I had to get up early to go to this raid, but man, my whole family's pregnant. I can't wait to have all these babies or whatever. And there's a little bit of that, but that's not the focus, because, you know, they give that to the main character. So, like, you know, nothing terrible is going to happen to him, but you don't have this fleet of people who have this sob story, like, you know, all their last day before retirement situations or anything. They're just like, they're policemen. They're here to do a job. Is it a big one? Yeah, but we got to do it.
I personally thought that was a big detractor here, because in Predator, I know that's chef's kiss, amazing, but each character is identifiable, know who they are. In this, other than the main guy, who I often confused for the leader guy, I had no idea who the fuck was who. It was just a bunch of burnt dudes in SWAT uniforms, except for A-Team Asian Hannibal guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like, we don't know anything about any of these guys. We can really honestly, I don't know anybody's names. There are a couple guys that you can pick out as like, oh, hey, that's the guy that we saw earlier who's got a wife and kid on the way. Then there's an old guy. Aside from that, they're all just like covered in sweat and blood, and, you know, they're wearing SWAT uniforms.
Dude, it's like a video game. The player characters aren't even important. They're just like copy-paste soldier guys. And then your bad guys are the ones you notice, like Dr. Gonzo. He's very unique. Then you have the greasy fucking Kung Fu master. Then you have Mr. Nice Guy.
That is firmly Kirk Hammett.
But let me just introduce an idea here. Maybe the bad guys are not the bad guys. You know, they're just doing their job, maybe making some drugs, doing whatever. You got these guys coming in, they're trying to swarm your place, man. Like, you didn't do anything to deserve that. I don't know. Well, we don't know this. We don't know the story between the mob guys and the guys that they executed before. You know, that could be, you know, something altogether different.
But whenever they took that guy out for the interview at the end, he was like, hide your drugs, hide your knives. They arrest them motherfuckers up in here.
Well, the movie plays with that, too, a little bit. Like, we'll get to it, like, halfway through with the whole situation with Hannibal from the A-Team.
As they're approaching this place and they're all amped up to do the raid, I was very confused in the sense that I know they're stealthy, but they're fucking straight murdering people without a court of law. They go from Leon, you come out of the dark and just choke him to death.
And on the same topic of them being stealthy, this is broad daylight. They rolled up in a big-ass van in full armor, like it's all black. Like, there's like 14 dudes who are clear as day, armed to the teeth, rushing into this building. Like, how does the word not get out immediately?
The alarm should have been raised, but they're so stealthy that all 15 of them can walk up directly behind a man trying to unlock his door and be like, haha, we got you.
That was actually something that appeared in my mind. I was like, wait a minute. If like that guy was already behind him, he's in the building already. Like, why do I even need to do this?
And come on, I can be quiet when I walk, but 15 dudes in full gear, boots, stomping on the ground, cannot sneak up. You're going to hear them. You're going to hear them coming. Like, you'll hear one dude walking down the hallway. You're going to hear 15 in full gear.
For sure, because like there's even that little bit in the movie where they're trying to feel out the weaknesses in the floor below them, and like just taking steps is like doom, 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 doom. And now you just have like a whole fleet of them just running up this stairwell trying to be, I don't know, slick.
But yeah, the guy that they run into at the elevator, he's just evidently not a part of the mob. He's just a normal guy who went out to get medicine for his sick wife. I don't know. That probably won't come back.
Wink.
It comes back.
Yeah.
But I do love his disposition or whatever. He's just like, cops, huh? All right.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, hurry up.
He says, you're one of the good guys. Go over here and wait for me. We're going to go in and fuck shit up because we're the good guys. And they immediately shoot it down.
Yeah, so during all this, like, they're trying to clear out the bottom floors first. They run into, like, these are just, like, scummy apartments, really. There's a woman, like, what, is she smoking crack or smoking meth or what's she doing?
Oh, that one lady who was just busy lighting a spoon and shit in her pants, apparently.
Yeah, she ends up shitting herself. I don't know what's going on with her, but, you know, good for her.
I thought it was like the movie trying to like teeter the moral high ground because like when she finally crapped her pants, they all looked at her like, oh, what a worthless bitch. You know, they're like, wait a minute, like you're here for a job. You don't have to like judge these people.
We can't give them any type of high ground because I lost all respect when immediately there's a child and they're like, hey, little kid, don't run, don't snitch.
Then Hannibal was like, yeah, Hannibal just smokes the kid.
he ran through that door and then, you know, trying to get away, I guess, to alert the bad guys upstairs. And it looks like a single bullet gets fired and it comes through that door like a freak on a leash. Yeah, but there's an awful lot of times in this movie where you have that sort of like, it's not bullet time, but I don't really know what to call it. It's like you focus in on a bullet or, you know, a tip of a knife or something like that. It'll be very focused on something, very stylized, and I like those moments a lot.
Yeah. They're few and far between too, but I do agree with their effectiveness because, you know, we're shitting on this whole front part of the movie, but to be honest, it's only like 6 or 7 minutes because as soon as that kid gets wasted, the movie starts and it fucking kicks off immediately.
You're right. Before it starts, it's just not a whole lot going on, to be honest.
No, not at all. And I think that's one of the weaker parts of the movie because like the whole movie is centered around the action, and to me, the action's flawless. But you know, movie language dictates you need that so you can have the good stuff. You know, you need to have your little bit of dinner so you can chow down on all the dessert, you know?
Oh, and the dessert is definitely coming. But Dr. Gonzo, once the alarm gets raised, he goes ahead and he orders some pizza. And by pizza, I mean snipers.
Yeah, just like covering up all their tracks and stuff because these stealthy people rolled up in a giant fucking pedophile van full of cops. And like, it is a cool moment where like, you know, the cops are just chilling like, hey, did you watch that soccer game last week?
God.
And the dude gets fucking obliterated and his buddy next to him covered in his buddy's guff. He's just like, what? And then he looks over and there's like a dozen dudes with like MP5s and they light it up. It is so absurd.
It's a damn good scene, and it's the first visualization of how brutal this movie's going to be because they don't just go plip plip and shoot him through the window and be done with it.
No.
All 6 of these guys line up and mag dump the windshield, shredding to meat and fucking viscous fluids.
Yeah, there are multiple times in this movie where in my notes I've just written down that was brutal or fucking brutal. Like there's a lot of brutality in this.
But after those 2 cops get Bonnie and Clyded, like the rest of the block or whatever you call it, the tower, like all of a sudden they just get called to arms, a la Dread, if you will.
Yeah.
And it's just like Of course, you have, Dr. Gonzo lackeys, they're a little bit more well-trained if you want to, definitely well-armed, but, like, you just have people just, like, picking up a pistol or just something, and, like, yeah, I got this.
If they kill a cop, they win an apartment.
Yeah. The announcement that we get throughout the whole building is we've got an infestation going on. Should you rid the building of this infestation, consider yourself a permanent resident of this building free of charge. They are on the 6th floor. Go have some fun.
What do you think rent is there for a slum hovel?
4 shekels.
I'm going to need 3 crowns and a biscuit.
A biscuit.
Does that come with gravy? I could go for some gravy.
Nah, you saw that place. It's just dry.
I don't think anything was dry in that building. Did you see the sweat all over everybody? They don't even have real air conditioning. Every apartment just has like one little fan that goes directly to the outside.
Yeah, and the only reason to have a air conditioner in the building is just so somebody can fall on it.
Oh, true.
Now, we get another action set piece, which is great, because now the word's out that they can kill these cops with no repercussions. And by God, they do. We get this amazing scene in this stairwell. Again, if you've seen Dread, it's like that, and just as brutal, minus the miniguns. There's like 6 dudes standing on a higher balcony, looking down in the dark, and it's all up to the cops to keep their cool and stay quiet so they can't get seen. Well, one cop loses his shit, fires around, gives away the position, and they just unload. And as Chandler said, fucking brutal.
It's also beautiful, too. Like, as you discussed earlier, like how it focuses on that one thing. The dude that loses his shit, he fires a shotgun round through a door because he saw some, like, shadows on the other side. And the movie just slows down. Not like Dread slows down, but just, like, takes its time to show, like, the flash of the shotgun. And you see the shadows of everybody on the floor above them. And you're just like, oh my fucking God, this is a kill box.
Yeah, and it's a great way that the director of filmography decided to narrate a story with just pictures. The shadows let you know everything. There's no words. It's just this scene, this scene, this scene, and you go, oh my God, bip, bop, boop, this is happening.
And to, like, the movie's interest, like, after that moment, you realize, okay, there is action coming, but there's no longer, like, an A to B situation. This is pure survival.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But one thing I want to briefly touch on that we were talking about a little bit back at the that scene where they're all like crouching down and you got the guys, up top from the, I want to say 7th floor trying to look down on them. A lot of the things that they do with like darkness and shadows is really interesting, but sometimes it's a little bit frustrating too, because of the color schemes that they use in this. And I don't know that it could have been helped because this was such a low budget film, but a lot of the times the color schemes that they're using kind of blends in with the darkness that they're using for effect, where sometimes you just can't really see what's going on, and this is one of those times.
Yeah, I get that, because given the low budgetness, you can kind of tell. Actually, you can absolutely tell that it was shot digitally. Like, there's no film. Like, it has this, like, weird blue kind of tint to the whole movie, when I feel like, given the amount of violence and absurd amount of grotesque stuff that happens, I feel like it should have a warmer color.
I agree. Yeah, they use this sort of same color scheme. It's almost in a Wes Anderson way, but not at all.
Kinda.
To where, like, it's like one color palette for the whole movie, and like that sort of blue-gray tone pops up an awful lot.
Yeah, I think that's another place where Dread does it a little bit better with the idea of the warm tones during the action set pieces, because then everything gets brighter, yet it seems more visceral, because then when the blood appears on the screen, it's more highlighted.
And also, this movie didn't give itself the opportunity to, like, as they ascended, almost like a video game, each floor was like a different level. So, like, it had different color schemes and different, like, plottings. Like, this whole place is just completely just flat.
Yeah, very flat, very bland.
And, like, if you're listening right now, you're probably like, why the fuck are they talking about all this stuff? Well, it's because every fucking thing else is flawless. Like, once the ass kicking starts, it's a hell of a lot of fun.
Yes. And then trying to do home renovations with an axe.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, you see these fellas and they're armed to the teeth, of course. There's just a fellow with an axe on his back, and you're like, man, that's a weird fucking thing to go give a policeman. Usually they have guns and billy clubs and, maybe like one of those little taser things. Now, this guy has a full-ass tree-chopping axe on his back, and it finally comes into play. Half of the dudes that get ambushed, they kind of make it off, and they make it to this random room or whatever, and they try to fortify the place, because they're getting chased as well. And, like, you can see like the gears turning in everyone's head. You're like, what do we do? Like they're looking around the room for just anything and everything as they block the door. And then the main guy, Mr. Raid, I don't know, he starts rooting around, starts stomping on the floor. He's like, this place is the weakest. Give me the axe. And he like fucking like superhero throws it to him like Thor's hammer, yanks it out of the air, starts chopping away. Meanwhile, the fellas that they're trying to block from getting in, they're getting more and more hostile and more in numbers.
Yeah, there's like this storm of evil baddies out there. And again, as the desperation rises, they have the idea of dropping through to the floor below.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know what that's going to solve, because there's just a hole in the ceiling and they have guns, so they're just going to look down and shoot them. But it works.
I don't know. It's an out, though. It's an out.
That's our only option, because like otherwise they would have went out the window.
Well, no, they tried the window. Somebody got shot from the window. From one of the snipers. Yeah. But for the time being, they just have like a sofa propped up against the door, and that's where they are.
60 men cannot move one sofa. Now, the action really kicks it up to 10 here. It shows an entire hallway full of bad guys, and it's a really cool shot of these dudes with various weapons. And the guy's desperate, Mr. Raid. He's also like MacGyver. He grabs a propane tank, yes, and he stuffs it inside of a refrigerator. And he says something. I don't know. He's speaking the language because I had subtitles. I don't know what he's saying.
He was like catchphrase.
Yes. Knock, knock. Fucking slams it against the door and blows up all the baddies, which then backdrafts and gets them as well.
Yeah, it fries everybody. Like, they're all shell-shocked for sure. But they're way better off than being, like, shot and chopped up by whomever the fuck's out there.
Pretty much right here is where I say, this is when it starts. And then I write immediately after that, whoa. Because the shit starts kicking in right here.
Like, even, like, when they were trapped in the room just now, like, there was a really incredible shot of, like, the door just being battered on, shot at and stuff, and Mr. Raid is still just, like, hacking away at the floor because, like, that is the objective. We have to get out of here. We cannot fuck up. But, like, after he blows everything up, we cut away to, like, everybody else that's still trapped in that little kill box with, like, A-Team Man and the rest of the guys.
Yeah, and by the way, like, so many of these guys have machetes. I didn't realize how big machetes were going to be in this movie, but, like, everybody's got a machete.
It's ridiculous. There's even a bit where a guy runs in a random room. I think he's separated from everybody else, so he's just him versus a guy that he's kind of tied to a chair just to kind of, you know, sedate the situation. But what he doesn't know is that's a machete table. You know what that comes with? A random fucking machete taped to the bottom of it or whatever. And as he's, like, looking out the window trying to figure out the situation, like, the guy's just like, all right, shwink, hiya! And he's just out.
Yeah, so from here on out for a little bit, this is just a whole lot of kung fu with a little bit of machetes dabbled in. You'll get the occasional, like, combat knife. This upcoming scene, or series of scenes, is just, like, fucking brutal.
Dude, it really is. They even try to build some suspense in this bathroom bit where A-Team Hannibal's hiding, and the big eye baddie is tapping his machete all down the wall.
Yeah,
just waiting to fucking get him.
I got that written down. It's so good.
Yeah, he reminds me of like Voss from Far Cry 3, just with a machete. He's got like the same brow line and everything. And like there's like a really cool thing as this happens. So you have like Mr. Raid and one of his good buddies. He got like ear blown off. He's having a bad time. He's got like a shot in his gut. He's trying to find a safe place to store this guy and maybe patch him up, you know, do the best he can. But he has a gauntlet of bad guys popping out of every door before he fucking gets there.
Okay, this to me, brav fucking O. All right, he's carrying his buddy basically on his back, and he's fighting people off with a combat knife and a tonfa. And there is one bit where he catches this guy's leg, pulls it out straight.
Oh, here we go.
Jams the combat knife into the top of the thigh.
Here it is.
And just fucking pulls it all the way down to the calf. And boy, oh boy, do they make sure that you get to see his leg open up.
Yes. There are, especially in this moment here and the one coming up, there are moments where you're just like, damn. And that was one of them. I mean, like, of course the knife can do that, but like, damn.
Yeah, there's a lot of times in this movie, like pretty much the whole thing, we've done a lot of comparisons with Dredd, and they're very apt comparisons for sure, but I also see a lot of Oldboy in this, in that, like, the way, like, some of these fight scenes are just so, like, nasty and visceral even. Like, you don't really have, like, Dredd's got some brutal stuff, but, like, there's just some disgusting, visceral, like there's a scene where he's just like stabbing a kid or like a teenager just like
Oh yeah.
several times in the chest. And there's another scene where he's like, you got one guy like digging in to get out a bullet out of a bullet hole,
Yeah.
and you're just like,
With a butter knife too, man.
Is that what that was? A butter knife?
Like one of those
Yeah.
spring knives or whatever. Yeah, that guy was like, "Fucking do it, just do it," or whatever it was with the English dub, and he it was just fucking bad. But like the situation was ridiculous.
Yeah, and there's
Hurt
another
me
scene.
more.
There's another scene that's just like right here, actually, I think, that's a combination of those where, like, during this whole kung fu fight scene, you've got this one guy, like, bashing another guy's head up against the wall, and
Oh
it
my
focuses in
God.
on the face, and it bashes, like, 4
Dude.
times up against the wall as he continues to fall.
This movie has those moments where like a guy is just like way too fucked, you know? Like these guys get fucked up, but like there are like a handful of fellas where you're just like, oh my fucking god. The guy you were talking about in particular, he was ambushed by like 2 extra dudes.
Mhm.
He like manhandles one and fucking turns him into like a balloon animal. He just dispatches him immediately. And like this guy runs up, I forget with what weapon, but he just crams the dude's skull into the wall, and as he's falling, like, you know, he's already out. He's already out of the game. He lost. But he just like drills this dude 4 more times on his way to the floor, and by the time he gets there, he's just a mess.
Move to the closest enemy and eliminate him. That is exactly what this guy is doing. He's like, you, I'll kill you. You, I'll kill you. What do you got? I'll fucking kill you too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like this whole thing is just because of his conditioned reflexes.
Nice. And speaking of conditioned reflexes, what I've got here today is one of my own. This is from Mother Earth Brew Company out of Vista, California. This is Conditioned Reflex from their Project X series. This is a hazy IPA with Mosaic and Vic's Secret hops. Never heard of Vic's Secret, but this is 7.0, a hazy IPA. Smells pretty fruity. It almost has like a bubblegum aroma to it rather than like your normal like citrus and mango and stuff like that.
Well, I'm glad it's bubblegum because I thought Vic's Secret was Sav.
Mm. But yeah, this has a pretty traditional New England style IPA flavor to it. A lot of that citrus, but more you'll get like pineapple and mango, grapefruit, things like that. It's not especially powerful in those notes, but they're definitely there.
Well, it being from Vicks, I would expect it to be really powerful because that shit opens my sinuses right up.
Oh, yeah. You do have all those fruit notes, but it's not especially powerful in that regard. They're definitely there, but otherwise, this is just like kind of solid, middle of the road New England style IPA. Definitely New England style. Got that hazy look to it. Got all those fruit tropical notes. Not a whole lot of green elements to it. It's solid. It's not the best thing that I've had. It's not the worst. Super drinkable though.
Oh, there you go. Well, if that's not too bad, what's really bad is, like, after this whole hallway fight, you got that guy, he's all fucked up, and he's trying to find a safe place. They finally find a place, and it turns out it's that guy we saw at the beginning where they roughed up because he just went out for groceries.
Oh, yeah. They call him old guy at once, and I don't really know why, because
No,
he's just like...
that's just like the bad dub. Like, you
Is
run
that
into
what that is?
It's gotta be the dude's like in like 30. He's flat, 30 flat. You know, he's like, look at this old man. I'm like, no.
Yeah, there's clearly like no old man to it. He has a wife who's ill, and he's just working with her. He gets in there because he's the only decent person or representation of the decent people in this bad place. And while he's there, he's like, let me hide you in the wall.
Oh, I forgot about this. Yeah.
Yes. It's actually one of the most thrilling parts of the movie for me.
Really?
I enjoyed the intensity of it because, like, when Voss breaks in with his, like, goons or whatever, they're thoroughly stuffed in this wall space, and the guy immediately is like, that's weird. What is that?
Yeah, they're in, like, maybe a 1 foot space between 2 walls, and he's just like, well, might as well do some stabbing, am I right?
Dude, for real. He fucks up dude's wall with that machete, and in classic style, the final punch of the machete cuts dude on the face, and he's bleeding on the machete blade, and the bad guy starts talking shit because Mr. Good Guy goes, hey, you're tearing up my wall with my beautiful wife's photos. He goes, shut up! I'll cut your bitch up! What does he say in the dub version?
I just heard,
dude, no.
What are you doing? This is all that I have.
Something like that. It's like this weird back and forth, like most dubbed moments in this movie. It's just, forget about it.
in subtitles, he's like, "You're tearing up my house," and he just spins on him and says, "I will cut your bitch up." That's exactly. I rewound it, paused it, and wrote it down.
Had to verify. No, that's amazing.
That's a good line. That's better than what we got for sure. But we see this machete, slice through the wall, and it's just holding there, like actually in the process of cutting his cheek, and he's starting to bleed over it. And this is just a tense moment, and I love it.
It's beautiful because the movie doesn't give the main character a chance to lose his cool. And this machete's like in his cheek. And he is bleeding. He's actually bleeding on his buddy. And in that moment, he's holding his buddy's mouth because he's hurt. He doesn't want him to make a sound. But he slowly brings his hand up. And there's that moment where his buddy realizes, like, okay, nobody move. And he just gently lifts his hand up, squeezes the machete, and as soon as he does, Voss yanks it out of the wall, and that little pinch just wipes off all the blood from the blade. They did it.
Yeah, it's a really good bit right there, and that's cool. But it immediately goes out to the hallway, and there's like this screaming, and I don't know who the fuck is screaming.
Well, I mean, there was a hallway full of fucking corpses out there. I imagine at least one or two of them are still trying to live.
I suppose. They were killing the dudes who were hurt in the hallway, and Dr. Gonzo said, kill them, and all their possessions and their stashes will pay for the damages. Now, I said I had a complaint with the soundtrack, but this piece I actually liked. It was like steel drum EDM.
All right.
That sounds like some DDR stuff.
Oh, the movie just pauses just to stop at the arcade.
Yeah. But he has to run up these stairs to try to get away. And the bad guys are like, we live here. We don't go upstairs. We just climb between floors.
Oh, I love that moment. He hoofs all the way to the next floor, and they're just already there. He's just like, fuck, that was my one idea.
Yeah. And then he tries it again, and he runs to the door that's going to take him to the next flight of stairs. Locked. And it's time for a 1v4 fucking showdown.
Yes. And just like the scene just before they went to that, I'll just say safe apartment or whatever, we have another disgustingly entertaining, brutal, just knockout party.
There's like these windmills that he does with his hands to lead in. I guess so there's always movement on the screen. And fuck, dude, like it's so hard to describe. It's just everything is moving at all times. It peaks with him fucking tackling dude out a window and using him as a break fall.
That's
not
very
even
true.
Not even tackling. That was like a fucking Bill Goldberg spear too. And it was like he knew what was going to happen. Like, this wasn't just like I happenstance fell out of a window. No, this was purposeful. And he fell like 7 stories, too.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's one of the two things that were just, like, absolutely absurd. One being the fridge bomb or whatever, because they fall so far. And, of course, Raidman lands on the guy first as he lands on the air conditioner, and he's perfectly fine. The other guy's super fucked.
Yeah.
But just briefly, I have to mention Doorman. Because Doorman is a very important part of this movie, I feel. In that tussle, just before he gets launched out of the window, a door is busted in half. And the fight continues, you don't even think about it. And this poor motherfucker, he has the most confidence in the whole world. He runs up to Raidman, he's like, I don't like you and you're going to be dead soon. And Raidman's like, nuh-uh, I'm going to fucking tombstone your ass and make you eat this fucking door.
Absolutely. Yeah, like not the frame, but like the
it's just what's left of the door. It's
yeah,
just like,
what's left of the door just like slices his throat, and man, it's brutal. But before that, let me tell you about something that was even more brutal. He just gets fucking punched in the face. Like, they're tussling around. Dude punches him in the face, and that's one of the most brutal parts. Because it looked so real. He just gets punched right in the face, and it just looks like he actually got punched in the face. He might very well have.
Maybe, but the choreography is so fluid, so good. It's just one of those things, like, even if it wasn't real, it's real. No, it's real.
It was devastating.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, absolutely. Everything about that, like, it's not even that long, like 3 minutes. And it's just all completely just, like, taking the wind out of me as I'm watching. I'm just like, damn. Just like one after another.
Yes, the fights here are the fucking star of the film. Unlike the montage that we get of, what are you fighting for? He's like, my prego wife, love.
Oh,
all that was good.
Yeah, unfortunately, the movie falls into the trope of like, oh, remember he has a wife and kid on the way? Ah, shucks, he's the main character, yada, yada, yada. And we pause on it for like a little too long.
Yeah.
In the movie's favor, I guess we do realize like one of the lackeys of Dr. Gonzo is actually his brother. Oh, that's a twist. Hiya.
Yep, that's the big twist. Guy grabs him and is like, what the fuck are you doing here? And you think it's going to be like, oh, he's going to get his shit pushed in or something. No, it's his brother.
Yeah, he grabs him and says, brother, you son of a bitch.
We got a different translation.
Yeah, the English dub once more just serves this movie like a fucking dumpster fire. It's whatever. It's totally whatever. Like then he buggers off again. He meets up with Metallica's Kirk Hammett. He has like his captain. You know, he killed the Raid Man's captain, taking him as a trophy.
Dude, the fight between Sweaty Shang Tsung and Raid Man's captain.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Absolutely epic. He kills the man with an RKO.
He does. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And
right out of nowhere.
And like, you know, you don't get a lot of characterizations with the baddies, you know, they're just bad. But this guy in particular, he just has that charm because he like takes a guy to the random room at gunpoint, he catches him off guard, and you know, he's like, you know what? Nah, guns too quick. They don't have any style. You know what I'm gonna use? My mitts.
I like this guy. I do. Like, I'm kind of rooting for him because he gave him the opportunity. He's like, I never liked these things. It takes away the rush of the fight.
Yeah.
So, you know, they just have it, you know, a little mano a mano. That's not how you say that at all, is it?
This is that fucking fight to the death. And you honestly feel, aside from the RKO, mind you, that this is a fight to the death. These two men are fucking each other up. There are these amazing bits where he'll throw like a high kick. Now they recycle this move a lot, but I don't mind it because I think it's a very, very logical counter. Guy throws a kick. They grab the kick, slam him against the wall, and start just fucking kneeing the shit out of the other guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the cop in this case straight up gets a knee to the oinker right before that.
Can't say oinker. It's just
his hog.
But right before the mob guy gets him with a running DDT, we're turning this thing into some backyard wrestling here.
Yeah, and just like you said earlier with like each punch being absolutely devastating, dude, he finishes the cop off with just these fucking haymakers to the jaw just to get him to stop struggling. Now, mind you, by that time, he's already fucking done. He's just like, I guess out of, you know, reactionary, he's like, you know, putting his hands up, you know, please stop. But the guy just like wrecks him and just breaks his neck, just fucked him.
There's a lot of fun fight scenes, guys.
No, this is totally thrilling. This movie is a blast. Like, if you're watching the dub, if you can get past all the dialogue, and like the first like 10 minutes of the movie, it's just a dreamboat.
The next thing we have, like, we get the little scene between the two brothers is like, you've got to get out of here. Not without my team. You know, Daddy wants you home. And it's like, oh, Daddy wants a lot of things. I don't even remember what he says there, but it was bad.
Yeah, but then, like you said earlier, Mr. Sweaty Shang Tsung has his trophy, the captain. And he's like, what you got? I ain't got nothing. What you got? This dead guy. Let's go talk to Dr. Gonzo. And
that's
Dr.
not even
Gonzo,
the right one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that raises some red flags. He was like, how did you know that was not the right one? You were supposed to be out trying to find this guy. And of course, Dr. Gonzo, he's got all the fucking cards up his sleeve. He's like, listen, I literally have 1 million cameras. Did you really think you could get away with this? Like, I literally saw you talk to the man.
I saw you yoink this guy in there. I don't know what. Is it a gay thing or?
It wasn't me. Got you on camera. It wasn't me.
Are y'all buddies or are you? Did you already kill him? If you already killed him, it's cool, man. It's cool. Just like show me the body.
Show me what you got.
So, yeah. Then wham! Just like knives his hand to the fucking desk. He's like, listen, you're stupid.
Yes, dude. Now, this knife to the hand is a trope, but it is definitely a trope that I have always loved to see. Because fuck, would that suck so goddamn bad. It's kind of like in the horror movies whenever someone's getting drug away and you see their nails get ripped off because they're grabbing the ground.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, he gets thrown off into some, like, you know, like every apartment building, he gets thrown into some, like, steel-doored, just fucking casket of a room. I don't even know what the fuck it's for. It's almost like a freezer room.
Yeah, I don't know what happens between here and the next thing, but the next thing that I have is the fight that takes place in the drug lab.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's absolutely in tune with the rest of the fight scenes. But this time, all the cops that are there, like you have Raid Guy, they catch up with Hannibal from A-Team and whoever's left. The difference from this fight and that fight, they are no longer off guard, they're on guard. They storm into this room and just start roughhousing everybody.
Honestly, this scene is kind of comical to me. Like, the fight scene itself is great, but like, you've got this room that's set around, very brightly lit. You got all these just like blue containers setting around that's just marked like poison or whatever.
Drugs.
Yeah, drugs.
This guy is sliding through cocaine.
Baseball sliding through this table of cocaine. It's just ridiculous.
100%. And like, that was the one thing that rewatching it again, I was just like, couldn't there have been a moment they were like, you know, they have all these jobbers running around getting their ass kicked. Like, wouldn't it be amazing if like one of these jobbers got a little sniff of that cocaine, right? And he just turns into fucking super jobber, right? You know, just unstoppable machine.
Fucking showdown at the cocaine corral.
Cocaine him. Yeah.
But there's been a lot of wrestling references, you know, a lot of wrestling moves done. Did you guys notice the old man with the rude awakening?
Dude.
Okay, I saw that, and I also saw the Tongan death grip into a chokeslam.
It was so rough though, because like I know he's an older fella, and I'm sure he's just an actor, but they tried really hard to make his moves badass.
Yeah, like you were talking about that rude awakening. That was the backflip head toss. What the fuck? It was dude sold so good, and that's the difference to me in American stunt work versus like this type of stunt work. You can watch in American stunts, the guys, they'll take a great bump, but then they're just done. That's it. They're just on the ground, not moving. But in
I don't want to look like a pussy or anything. I'd rather be dead than hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, like okay, you know, Avengers, Thor, somebody gets hit, they get smashed through a wall. Shit that should be like agonizing. They just get up and they're like, oh man, whatever. You know, they no sell. But in this, you fall 10 feet and bang your back off a wall. They'll sit there for like 30 seconds, like aching and holding their back,
writhing,
arching.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, especially that last dude, before they get out of the room, they have like a table fight scene. I was going to say for whatever reason, but it's fucking cool. The last move was just him just getting fucking manhandled midair, and like half of him just slams on the table before he hits the ground. The guy's broken.
Yeah.
And he sells it so hard because like he immediately seizes up and just starts like, you know, what else can you do?
And that's what makes this seem so much more brutal than the combat that we're used to seeing in, you know, I guess more Western films.
Yeah, like it's kind of like the difference between like WWE and New Japan, right?
Ooh, yeah, I get that reference. Or like ECW.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just like that.
But it doesn't stop there. Like, as soon as they exit the room, they split up. You have like A-Team and like some other police guy, and you have the brothers. They fucking rendezvous in that cold locker or whatever, and we have the chef kiss, the best choreographed fight scene I have seen in an extremely long time.
Okay.
This is 2-on-1 too, and he is all for it. The boss man is all about this. Like, he wants that challenge.
Absolutely.
I took 2 notes for this entire fight scene.
Was it just like holy and shit?
Yes, I'm just watching going, oh, that looks cool. Oh, fuck, he's doing that. Oh, shit, this, everything, literally, everything they do in this specific fight scene is perfect. If a man is throwing a kick and there is a counter, it's immediately countered by the third character. And holy shit, do they go on for like 5 minutes of just amazing choreography. So
what about that fucking flip move?
Dude, I'm talking about the slam where he picked guy up by a leg and his belt and was like, plap.
Yeah, the Kirk Hamill looking guy, he's a smaller fella and he gets thrown around a little bit, but dude, his tenacity is second to none.
And they cheap out. Honestly, the good guys do. They fucking stab him with an ECW fluorescent light bulb because they cannot beat him. But fuck, it's so...
Well, that doesn't even, like, keep him down. Like, that thing's sticking out of his neck, and we still have, like, a minute and a half of fight scene left. Like, he's like... Well, maybe he's the fucking enhanced jobber with, like, the cocaine running through his body or whatever. Because this dude is fucking fucked. All 3 of them are hurting by the end of this. It is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Greasy dude is a beast.
And this might be the only fight scene in the whole movie where they actually have like hype music synchronized with the fight. Like, usually it's leading into, this is going on right now. This is like boss battle.
And you can correct me if I'm wrong, especially in the comments, leave one below. I'm 90% sure. Like, I remember reading something about this particular scene forever ago. This, I think, is like a 5-minute fight scene, which feels like it goes on forever in a good way, but it took 6 weeks to film.
Oh, wow.
Just that.
Okay, well, the attention to detail shows, and it's fucking worth it, because Eric, high five, bud. This is the best, literally the best hand-to-hand combat fight scene I've seen on film.
It's wonderful. The only thing that could possibly top it is the Raid 2. I'm just going to be absolutely honest.
Oh, yeah?
For real, though, is the Raid 2 got, like, a better fight scene than that? Because that blew my fucking mind.
The Raid 2 is better in every possible facet, but it can only exist because the Raid 1 does.
See, I feel the same way about Dread. Dread, to me, is all around way better, but if this movie would not have existed, Dread would not exist.
Correct. And
Yeah.
like, and just briefly, like, I agree with the Dread comment, because Dread has the favor of being absolutely focused. Instead of having like a team of dudes, it's just 2 people.
Yeah. It's streamlined. That's the only honest reason. It's streamlined, and it's got a pop culture reference that we understand with Dread. Now, Hannibal, in the meantime, is busting into the top level of the boss battle. He says, "Hey, you, Dr. Gonzo, put that gun down or I'll smoke your ass with this revolver." And he goes, "I guess I won't get you." He goes, "Okay, come over here. Hey, teammate." And teammate says, "Yep." He goes, "M. Night Shyamalan," and blows his head off.
I don't want to say it's predictable, but like, I don't care about this fucking old dude at this point, because like, he totally tossed everybody into the fire for no reason. But the reason is that like, he was in some kind of cahoots with like a higher level mafioso or whatever, and he wanted to take out Dr. Gonzo, effectively taking his place in the hierarchy of things. And that's
what happened?
Yeah, that's the whole reason why he drug everybody into this, but it turned upside down. Now he'd like to take a minute, just sit right there, and he wants to talk about all how fucking hell broke loose.
Yeah, I was having a little bit of a hard time following that, but I also didn't care.
Yeah, it's whatever. Like, unfortunately, like, after that superior hand-to-hand combat scene, this just CQC through the roof, the movie just kind of farts. Like, it ends on such a just like, like, the energy just drops immediately, because like, we go back to quote-unquote plot, but like, there's not enough there to make me actually feel anything for these people. The only feeling that I had was, 1, exhausted, 2, just like, go home. Just like just go home. You have the opportunity.
Yeah, you get like the good guy, like the main guy, I guess, talking briefly with his brother who is still alive, and is like, we'll be back. And he's like, oh, well, we'll be long gone. Well, then why are you going to stay here? Same reason you stay in that uniform. It just fits.
No,
more bad dialogue.
I thought that was good.
Even in the English dub, it's perfect. It's fine. Like, given the situation, it's good. But it's like one drop of good in an ocean of who gives a shit.
Like, I'll still categorize that under who gives a shit. I don't care about any line that was said through this whole movie.
I'll say this. That line is wasted on this movie. That is an amazing line. If this had been like a fucking extremely good thriller that would have ended with the 2 brothers separating, and he's like, "Man, why don't you just give it up?" He's like, "Same reason you don't take off that uniform, man. It just fits." And then you could have been like, "Oh, what an epic way to set up, round 2 or what the fuck ever." But here, it just kind of, like Eric said, just
it peters out. It's unfortunate, because the momentum this movie builds is fucking phenomenal. It truly is. Like, the action is once more chef's kiss, and then like, it just ends on, it's not even a downbeat, because it's not negative, it's just ends. Like, it climaxed, and then it's just like a really quick just.
I mean, sometimes that's how it is. Sometimes you just nut and you're done.
Just shoot and scoot.
Yeah, why not? We'll be back.
But on that note, I'm just going to keep going at it. This movie is fantastic. Its action is some of the best ever put on film, because I know the rest of the movie is absolute just contrived whatever. Like, it has to be there. Like, I get it, but it's just uninteresting. I don't care, and it ends on that note. But otherwise, everything else in the middle, the excitement, the momentum, the absolute brutality of the action that I saw in this movie. I'm super glad a buddy of mine forever ago made me watch this movie. It stuck with me. I'd love to just return to it from time to time. I'm glad I got to share it with you, regardless of your opinions. And I can't say enough good things about it, except for all the bad shit.
Yeah, I'm not gonna, gleam over it quite to that level. I think this is a great example of incredible martial arts on film, but It's more of like an and one mixtape for martial arts than it is like a true, feature motion picture. There's not enough plot that I actually care about or dialogue that means anything, and that's fine. It's enjoyable for what it is, but that's really all that it is. It is enjoyable. I enjoyed every minute that there was some kung fu going on.
Dude, literally the best action set piece I have ever seen with hand to hand in that greasy bad guy showdown. I was blown away personally. You said the Raid 2 is better. I'm fucking on board, bro. Like, sign me up.
Well, we just might have to. If anybody watching wants to see us do the next one, leave a comment below. Also, that was the Raid.
Make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons. Be sure to hit that little bell icon too, so you know what we've got brewing up next.
Get out there and follow us on social media. Fellas, ladies, whatever the fuck you are out there listening, we have so much shit on this platform, on all sorts of different platforms. We're on YouTube, Reddit, Instagram, Facebook. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, all sorts of other fucking places. Try to find us. We're probably there. We're worth it. And if you don't, we'll come to your house, and two of us, not three, just two of us, will verse you. And you will have to kill one of us with a fluorescent light bulb to make us not beat your ass. Straight up.